Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So we have started our beautiful Mig-15 up. We now want to taxi to the runway and do some taking off and stuff. What the deuce have we got to do, Stahl?
So taxiing in this thing is quite interesting. People who have the Mig-21 will probably recognize the way it handles, although it is probably a bit more finicky than the 2-1. What you do is, when you want to start taxiing, you throttle up to about 6,000 RPM. I do recommend you do not do that yet. And when you need to turn, you press the wheel brake button, or, the wheel brake lever, and use rudder to decide you want to turn in. Actually, it's the other way around. You should ideally first use the rudder and then hold down the wheel brake lever.
So it's got a bias valve, is what we're saying here. Right, okay.
It will then actually keep that position with the nose wheel, so if you want to stop turning, you will have to apply, you'll have to turn the other way manually.
Yeah, so it has got a front caster wheel then, no nose wheel steering. Oh, I can do this, Stahl. I've got a Hawk. If I can fly a Hawk, I can fly anything. Right, okay. Let's give it a go. You taxi to the runway, I'll follow you out. That Neen engine sounds good.
So as I mentioned, about 6,000 RPM, and this is not the Neen engine.
Sorry, what?
I don't think this is the Neen engine. This is the VK1, I believe, which is the one they put into the BIS.
Isn't it a copy?
No, that's just the standard Mig-15.
Roger. Right, so if you want to know how I am taxiing, how I'm turning, it's a mixture of rudder and brake. So you keep your finger brake pressure on that brake valve you can see on my stick. I keep pumping that, and I use the rudder, and that gives me a bias in. I don't think I'm going to. Let me just show it off to the punters.
You could actually just press right control enter and bring up the little window that shows your control.
Oh, well done. Yep, so you can see my brakes that I'm doing there, and you can see it's biasing them depending on my rudder. My rudder I'm wiggling left and right now just to show you it off, and it biases that way, biases that way, biases that way. That's how we're doing it. In fact, I'll just leave it on. Right.
So you'll start rolling at about 6,000 RPM usually. It is not recommended to taxi any faster than 15 kph. You'll notice why when you're trying to go around sharp corners.
Cup taxis at 100 and only 100. The plane will have to learn to live with cap. Right. I'm coming. So we need a little bit of forward momentum to get our caster. I'm going to need a little bit of straight to get our caster wheel straightened out. It's the only thing I remember about these kind of setup. You know what, Charles? That gun sight is right in my way. Is there a way of getting rid of the bloody thing?
I don't think so, actually.
That is going to drive me nuts.
This was the 109, you'd been luck.
Beautiful! Look at that. You see how good cap is? Right. Flaps down to 55, question mark?
No, 20.
20?
55 is landing only.
Oh, roger that. Right. What else do we need before we take off?
So, do you remember how to engage your forced wheel brake, the emergency brake?
Yes, I do.
So the takeoff procedure in this aircraft is you put on the forced wheel brake, which should hold your aircraft up to about 10,000 RPM. You spool up to 9,000, and then you let go and throttle up fully.
Understood. So let me just show that to the punters. So that there, I'm pressing there, that's normal wheel brake, and that there is forced wheel brake. Extra pressure basically on the wheel brakes, all that is, and we'll cover that in the key bindings video that I'll do a little bit later on.
We're going to release the brakes, and at around about 150, 160 kph, you will slightly pull the stick back to get the nose wheel off the ground. Now, one thing you have to be careful about, as it's kind of hard to exactly align the nose wheel with the runway. You might veer off to the side a little bit. As long as that's not too bad, you can just use the rudder to correct that. It should kick in at about 50 to 80 kph. Your nose wheel looks pretty good right now, so I don't think there will be too much of an issue. If that's not the case, you'll have to do the wheel braking thing. Lift off usually is about 220 to 240 kph. It'll just, if you lift the nose wheel, it'll just gently lift itself off the ground. If you have tanks on, it's up to 270 odd kph takeoff speed. As soon as we reach about 350 kph, you can retract the gear and flaps. We will also have to set those back into the neutral position then, because otherwise you'll have constant pressure on the hydraulic system, and that's not very good. It can actually cause leakage.
Right. So, I see. So the flap indicators are these little rods on the top of the wings there.
Yep. Flap and gear.
Flap and gear, and then I've got my front gear out there. I don't think I'm going to get an angle on it, but yeah. Okay, fine. Right. So I've talked about the procedure. I'm ready. I'm holding and spooling. You take it away when you're ready.
Alright, spooling. Release in full power in 3, 2, 1, go.
Plenty of rudder authority. Okay, rotating.
50 off, lift off.
Okay, I am. Gear up.
Gear and flaps up at about 350.
Flaps up.
Then left control G for the gear lever, and flaps back down to the neutral position once gear and flaps are up.
Roger. So gear back down to neutral, flaps back down to neutral. And the check indicators on the wing. Everything is up. Big sexy. Right, I'm coming. I'm going to have a quick fly about now and see what she's like. So, clicks per hour. So this is about 300 knots.
Now you should also be able to see right now the two different needles in the speedometer.
Yep.
The
True.
thinner one being a true airspeed.
A-firm, so as I get lower they should start to merge.
Exactly. When I'll be talking about airspeed, I'll always be talking about indicated airspeed. Except for one thing, actually, the most efficient climb for the Mig-15 is actually pretty much the same at every altitude in true airspeed, and that's 710 kph. So if you want to get full power, keep it at 710 kph just by adjusting your climb angle, and you'll be climbing to, I think, 5 kilometers in about 2 minutes.
Roger.
10 kilometers in about 5.
Right, I'm going to do a loop, and then we'll get together, then we'll go in for a landing.
A couple of things I should be noting before you do any maneuvers that include diving.
Yes.
If you actually exceed about 1,000 kph indicated airspeed, you'll get some serious problems. Basically, you'll enter compressibility. You won't be able to roll. In the end, actually, you'll lose all elevator control, and the aircraft will really start listing to one side and even roll to an extent.
So that's
that's
Mach 0.9, did you say, about that?
A bit above that, actually. I think it becomes critical at Mach 0.96 or something.
Roger.
But Mach 0.92 will already mean that you're barely able to roll, and if you reach that Mach 0.96 area, you'll also start to automatically roll slightly, and if you try to counter that with your own roll input, you'll actually only make that worse. So you'll actually have to roll in the direction you're rolling in to counter that. It's quite odd.
Roger, so that's, yeah. Well, that's pretty claimed a lot of MiG-15 pilots, I imagine.
Possibly.
The roll is terrible in this thing. I'm rolling why is it? That really is bad. They needed... Look at the size of the puny little ailerons on it, no wonder.
Yeah, now if you really want to feel what it was like to fly the early MiG-15s, you can look at your throttle lever, and to the right of that, just turn the hydro booster to 0 or to off, and try to roll then.
I'm not going to do it. Right, very good. Right, some basic flying information there. Right, we've got to get together and go for a landing now. So, formation flying will be hard because spool response is pretty bad, obviously.
So, wait, we're in the big or the small one? Big one, right? Yeah.
Roger. Can you keep an eye on me because I've lost tally on you? Yeah, out of interest, what are the flap down and gear down speeds?
Gear down below 450, flaps down at about 350.
Oh, I managed to get into formation. It's quite hard, but we're here.
Right, I'm gonna start reducing the speed a bit.
Reducing speed, roger.
Shooting for about 450.
Starting to get a feel for her now.
Right, 450. Gear out.
Again, do we want to put that battery neutral when they're indicated down?
It doesn't matter right now. You can leave them in the ground.
We'll leave them there. Roger. Gear is down.
Now, going to gentle left turn into the base leg. Going to slightly descend in the process. We're at about 350 kph, so extend the flaps to 20.
Flaps 20. Done.
And about 2 seconds later, flaps to 55.
Flaps 55. Done and locked. Checking indicators. Indicators good.
Slow.
Controllability is pretty bad down at these speeds.
Yes, so below 300 you really don't want to maneuver at all, which is why I'm trying to get back up to about 300 right now for the approach. Right, final turn to runway. Throttle down slightly as soon as you straighten out. Shoot for about 280 threshold. A threshold, just power to idle, and then keep her about a meter above the ground until about 180 to 200 kph, where you will just gently descend to the ground anyway.
FM. Captain? That was okay. The visibility was obviously shockingly bad, but it was okay. Hello, Charles.
Okay.
Pretty happy with it. Not the easiest plane to fly, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of things out there that want to kill you. But all in all, pretty happy with that.
Right, now you can, put our flaps up again and put the gear stick into neutral position.
Roger. Let us go, and we're going to go and get some bombs and some guns, and then we'll head out again on a weapons run.